I'm just waiting for that day because it's going to happen sometime this decade. I can bet my mortgage on it.
Probably homeschooling.
Yeah, because those homeschoolers, this is no joke. And again, it saddens me to say this. I'm sensing the full impact of the entire cycle of propaganda. Originally, we were all told that Saddam was in league with Al-Qaeda and Al-Qaeda was responsible for 9/11. Since we last talked, Marine after Marine after Marine is on video confronting John McCain, getting in his face, saying, how dare you send me to fight for Al-Qaeda in Syria.
Amen.
Yes. And finally, they get it. Okay? More and more of the military is waking up. And I say we as Christians got to specifically pray for this, because if we don't, then we're all in danger, every last one of us. The military is the linchpin to the New World Order's effectiveness, not just all over the world, but America. And it must be noted, this is very important to pray for this too. Obama has, over the past couple months, fired more colonels and above than any other president ever. He is purging the military. And the tipping point in Obama's mind, the litmus test is, will you order those below you to fire on American citizens?
Right.
That's right. So there's a white paper out there called Flash Mobs and Brain Chips. And there's another element to that I'm missing. Revolutions, Flash Mobs, and Brain Chips. And it's about 7 years old, and it's by the UK Ministry of Defense. And it starts talking about how there's going to be revolutions in nation after nation, and we're going to have to deal with flash mobs in response to the financial crisis that's coming. And a way we can control society as it breaks down over the financial crisis, sometime between 2014 and 2015, hint, hint, is by implanting brain chips in soldiers. Now, this is a UK Ministry of Defense white paper. Wow. Yeah, okay, and I'm thinking, okay, about 2.5 out of the 3 basic points of that paper have already come to pass. So what stretch of imagination is required for us to figure out the last part of the last piece of that 3-point plan? I mean, it's coming, So again, we live in the best of times and the worst of times, and it is up to us to remember Christ before the days of trouble come, because they're coming. I'm not sounding as a cosmic killjoy. I'm warning people. Okay, so number 1, if it doesn't exist, don't talk about it. Number 2, become indignant. If a guest comes along and says, I am architect and engineer for 9/11 Truth. We have 2,000 scientists, architects and engineers who are degreed, who can tell you that 9/11, that the collapse of the Twin Towers wasn't due to fuel and the plane impacts. The anchorman at that point can say, what? How dare you create this incredible conspiracy theory? You're shaming the 9/11 victims' families by this wild and lurid tale. Is it any wonder why most of your colleagues can't possibly support you? So that's a way to control thought.
Oh.
Okay, so number 3.
Just the statement you made. Sorry, it's just comical.
Yeah, that's a Bill O'Reilly tactic. Okay, point number 3, create rumor mongers. And the way you can employ that technique is if you are an anchorman and you ask your guest, did you hear this on the internet? In other words, discredit the guest by associating him with internet conspiracy theories.
Right.
Number 4, Use a straw man. If you can't explain all aspects of a complex event like 9/11 to the satisfaction of the anchor man, he's going to say, well, because your argument fails in this one particular arena, who are we to say that the rest of your argument is cohesive? In other words, he's taking the weakest part of your argument and he's diluting it. So unless you're very skilled and quick with a quip, you're not going to be able to respond properly, which is exactly how news and information is controlled. Okay, number 5, sidetrack opponents with name calling and ridicule. This is the favorite tactic of Bill O'Reilly. He will say, you're a kook, you're a loon, literally. In other words, he can't have an objective discussion. Number 6, hit and run. Say something like, this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Are you aware that there are people out there who believe that we never landed on the moon? In other words, he's associating your controversial idea, which challenges a paradigm, with something that's so totally out there that your argument's credibility is destroyed. Okay, number 7, question somebody's motives. Now, this is a favorite topic of the left. So if you're on MSNBC and you say something like, Obama's healthcare plan will hurt black people the most, which it will, by the way. The left-wing MSNBC host like Slimeball with Chris Matthews will say something like, that's because you have a right-wing agenda and you're racist. In other words, he's taking your objective argument, like a statement like, did you know that most basketball players are black and most hockey players are white? That's not a racist statement. Those are objective statements. Okay, he's going to associate that with racism or a quote unquote right-wing Tea Party agenda. So he's going to destroy your argument by labeling it, by mislabeling it. Okay. Another point, invoke authority. In other words, say, I'm the anchor man. Or another variation of that is saying, you're a kook, you're a loon, you're in the minority, Fox News, fair and balanced. Literally, they always say that, Fox News, fair and balanced, after they've just destroyed a guest. Number 9 out of 25, play dumb. In other words, if you have a guest on TV, you can rip him or her apart by saying, what? No one has ever heard of this before. I can't process this. Who asked you to be on my program? Number 10, associate opponent charges with old news. An example of that technique would be, well, people have been saying for over 40 years now that we never landed on the moon. And if there was any conclusive evidence to that effect, then we would have seen that by now. So your argument is old, it's out of date. In the remaining news, Fox News, fair and balanced. In other words, you can just cut somebody off at will by associating them with old news. Moving on here. Oh, this is a good one. Establish and rely upon fallback positions. I'm going to quote this verbatim here. Using a minor matter or element of the facts, take the high road and confess with candor that some innocent mistake in hindsight was made, but that opponents have seized on the opportunity to blow it all out of proportion and imply greater criminalities with it's just not so. Others can reinforce this on your behalf later. Done properly, this can garner sympathy and respect for coming clean and owning up to your mistakes without addressing more serious issues. In other words, if I'm Bill O'Reilly and I have a guest which questions the official conspiracy theory of 9/11, I can say 1 or 2 nights later, on Tuesday's broadcast of the Bill O'Reilly Show, we had guests so-and-so on who discussed point Y. In fact, we now understand that the guest was partially correct, but mostly incorrect because he has a particular biased point of view. Fox News, fair and balanced. In the rest of today's news, in other words, it's a sideways or backhanded way of covering your tracks and reducing your guest's authority and increasing the viewer's perceived authority of yourself in that viewer's mind, all in one. And I see that again and again and again on Fox News. Let's see here.
You know, hearing all this, Leonard, I'm just thinking to myself, this is what's caught on tape. This is before editing and cutting and changing your scene or going to a commercial break. This is just the responses and how much more control they can submit or assert from a technical standpoint as well.
That's right. And on that subject, I'm glad you brought that up. I have studied what happened at Sandy Hook for at least 50 to 60 hours because it's a very complicated subject and I won't be able to address it tonight. But I think I finally have a model for understanding what happened at Sandy Hook. And the model comes through CNN. Now, it is fascinating to me to realize that CNN is no longer broadcasting anything live. That's a dead giveaway. In other words, everything will be pre-recorded. And that's interesting because one of the favorite sources for anything news is a news torrent site. I will download 5-6 gigabytes of raw news feeds. And as I'm cooking and eating dinner, I will be watching those news feeds for any anomaly. And I will run to my screen and I'll pause it, rewind, back about 30 seconds and try to detect any anomaly. And I've seen so many anomalies at Sandy Hook that I think I finally got a handle on it. And the anomalies I've seen are the fact that there was a drill at the neighboring school just down the road, about 6 miles away. The exact same thing happening at the exact same time. Gee, that fits a pattern. That fits the pattern of Oklahoma City, 9/11, and I could go on and on. Okay, you confuse, misdirect, and distract between the real-world exercise and the quote-unquote drill. Point number 2, CNN was trying to pass off the video from the drill, which it was broadcasting live from a helicopter feed, as what was going on at Sandy Hook. In other words, somebody like me could use Google Earth, zoom in on Sandy Hook, and then zoom in on that school down the road and realize that ain't Sandy Hook. So CNN was broadcasting a controlled environment, a simulation, as the real thing. That's a dead giveaway.
Right.
And another example is when, what's his name? Anderson Cooper, who is an admitted CIA agent, by the way, and who is heir to the Vanderbilt dynasty because the Cooper family married into the Vanderbilt dynasty. Okay. And he is the great-grandson of the Vanderbilts.
Sheesh.
And a CIA agent. And he is allegedly, supposedly standing in front of the Sandy Hook Town Hall. And he's interviewing Mrs. Posner. And when he's panning back and forth, his nose is parallel to a stone column of the town hall. And as he's panning back and forth in his mind, you can see his nose vanish